Pay It Forward Sports presents Kings of 4-on-4 Ontario Championships, April 14th through 16th, Ottawa and Quinte West. Winners meet in the best 2 out of 3 series to determine the Kings of 4-on-4 and win a trip to Las Vegas. Prizes include a trip to the Dominican, a second trip to Las Vegas, team NHL tickets, and more amazing prizes. Help support underprivileged kids and become the King of 4-on-4 provincial champions. For additional prizes and contest rules and pricing information, visit www.payitforwardsports.ca.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Boo Club, the Battle of Ontario hockey podcast on the Pay It Forward Sports Network. If you want to search us, search the Pay It Forward Sports Network on YouTube. Hey, Flem, that's Flem. I'm Broekey. How's it going today, buddy?
Going pretty good today, buddy. This episode, guys, is sponsored by the Best Western in Belleville for the best hotel rates and one of the brands under the Williams Hotel chains, who is a big sponsor of Pay It Forward Sports. Check out Best Western, 387 North Front Street in Belleville, one of the best hotels in the area. And I just want to thank Ryan and Tanisha for sponsoring the show today.
Yes, thank you, guys. And that's where all the celebrities stay that come to Belleville, don't they, Flem?
That's where they all stay, buddy.
Yeah, I got another thing, too. 4-on-4, we dropped this a few weeks ago. Kings of 4-on-4 provincial championships in 2 cities. Can you believe that? It's going to be in Trenton, Ontario and Ottawa, Ontario, the exact same weekend, April 14th to 16th. We're going to have a winner in Ottawa. We're going to have a winner in Trenton. Those winners will face off at each other within the week. And that they will face off and have a 2 out of 3 tournament. I guess just 2 to 3 series, we should say, Flem. And that will determine the Kings of 4-on-4 provincial champions. And guess what? If you're a provincial champion with us, you win a trip to Las Vegas. The entire team, up to 13 guys. How much fun is that? Where do you get prizes like this? Pay It Forward Sports. That's the only place. There will be a lot of secondary prizes, guys. If you put a team in these tournaments, one team captain, we'll call it, or team GM, whatever you want to call it, is going to win a trip for 2 to Las Vegas. So let's say if there's 20 teams in the 2 tournaments combined, there's only 20 guys that have a chance to win, and they can bring their best friend, they can bring their girlfriend, they can bring whoever they want, and they can go to Las Vegas. So plus we're going to have a trip to Dominican, another trip to Dominican for 2, another trip to Las Vegas for 2, probably some money, some NHL or Blue Jays tickets for second place. I mean, we're going to have a ton of prizes, a ton of fun. We've got even more. We've got the sheriff. This guy played in the NHL. He was on Spitting Chicklets. He was on the Boo Club. He's going to be there interviewing guys. He's going to be having a ton of fun. We're looking at having a live streaming at one of the events as well. There's hopefully a bar at one of the events with lots of other prizes and chances to win. So this is going to be the hockey event of the year for years to come.
Absolutely, buddy. Going to be the biggest tournament around anywhere in Ontario. And if you guys want to register, check us out, payitforwardsports.ca. So, Broekey, what do you want to get into today, buddy? I'm sure we got a lot to talk about. NHL trade deadline coming up. We had some trades go down last week, but where do you want to start, big guy?
Well, you know what? You just mentioned it. Why don't we start with your Toronto Maple Leafs trade? I know it's on the tip of your tongue, and you're all fired up, and you got a big heart on. So let's hear it there, heart on, Ron.
No, so the Leafs go out Friday night and they make a big swing. They trade for Ryan O'Reilly, arguably one of the best matchup centers, or just period, one of the best centers in the league. So, this is the guy I've been saying the Leafs need to get for about a month now, Broekey. I just think he can add so much versatility to this team. He can either play the wing, shift Tavares over to the wing, or I think what they're eventually going to do is just kind of go the 3-headed monster down the middle with Matthews, Tavares, and O'Reilly. And arguably that's the best top 3, that's the best 3 center combos in the league, I would think, at this point. So, I think the trade does so much for the Leafs. It's the type of guy they need to. It's someone that's a proven winner, Conn Smythe winner, Stanley Cup champion, just a guy that can play in any situation. I think Dubas hit the nail right on the head with this one. I think it was the perfect guy. You barely gave up anything. You gave up 4 picks, a couple, I guess we'll say not highly regarded prospects. So, in terms of things, I don't think it could have worked any better. They got 75% of their salary retained, and I think this catapults the Leafs up into a contender again. This is the move they needed to kind of match up with the Lightning in the first round, in my opinion.
You know what? I've got 2 takes on this one. So First off, we'll do the positive take. I like to be positive. I think you're right. I spoke with you on this podcast and many of my buddies and guys I play hockey with. And, I know Patty Kane was in the mix and you still believe they're going to get Patty Kane, but I don't know. But anyways, guys like Patty Kane. And my whole thought was you don't need a guy like Patty Kane. You don't need that high offense guys, that high octane offense. You already got that. You've got your Nylander. You've got maybe Tavares maybe in there, but you've got your Marner and you've got your Matthews. You've got that skill. You've got that attribute for your team. Where they're lacking is obviously guys' leadership to win, guys who've been through it, guys who've been through the grind. And O'Reilly was a stud a few years ago with St. Louis. There's no question about it. If they can get, so I believe that in that sense, if they get 90% of what he brought that year come playoff time, I'm not really worried about regular season. It is what it is. But come playoff time, if they can get him, if he's healthy and they can get him 90%, then it's going to be for sure a huge positive. The issue is what percentage are they going to get of how good he was that year? Is it going to be 90? Is it going to be 50? It's going to be interesting. Just a couple of weird stats. St. Louis had some weird stats this year. If you actually looked at it, they're floating right around 500. They're a hair under. They're minus 30 as a team. That's weird for a team that's like right around 500. Usually you'd think you'd be close to that figure. And he was like minus 24 before he got to Toronto, I believe. So a couple of negatives to look at. I think he's definitely taken a step back. But is that because St. Louis is taking a step back? Is that because, for many, many things, it's arguably, we'll see what happens. At the end of the day, I still think that is the type of player that Toronto had to go for. I think they can't just look at stats. I know I'm pointing up stats, but I'm just doing it to just say what's happening. But I think push comes to shove in a 7-game series. If he's a guy that can fill a second or third line and be a stud on that second or third line, like he's been before, where he was a stud on the first line in St. Louis when they won the Cup, then I think it's going to be huge for the Leafs. Having said that, they got to get him close to that 80, 90% of what he was. If he's floating around 50, it's going to be the Foligno 2.0, right? So we'll see what happens. At the end of the day, Dubas had to do something. I mean, his job's on the line. And you're right, they gave away a lot, but they didn't give away a lot. They didn't give any good players. They didn't have to get rid of somebody to pick somebody up. They're giving away picks. They did give away 4 picks. That Akari, though, is another attribute that they got, who actually scored on Sunday night there. So in the loss to Chicago, which we'll talk about in a second. Couple chirps for fun coming up. But anyways, so I think all in all, I think looking at it from the outside right now, I think it's probably the right move, but we won't know until playoff comes and see what type of player we get.
No, I agree with that. I think he's the guy the Leafs need, just for the fact that every year they seem to lose. It's just they have no depth kind of on that third and fourth line. Like they have no secondary scoring. If Matthews and Marner and Tavares and Nylander don't lead the charge, the Leafs probably aren't going to win that game. I think bringing Riley down to that third line just kind of brings another driver into that third line for them. And maybe he's that catalyst, maybe he's the Nick Paul kind of thing. Game 7, 2 big goals when you need them. The Leafs are close every year, right? Like they get to game 6, game 7, but they can't get over the hump. Is this a guy that's going to come in and make the team, a goal or 2 better? I really think it will. Tampa Bay is obviously a tough matchup come round 1, and that's what everyone's thinking is going to happen. But, I think it's the guy they needed, Broekey. I just don't think there's any way around it. He stretches the depth out in that lineup. He's a catalyst on the third line, penalty kill, good face-off guy. I think his first game, he went 14 for 16 in the face-off circle. So puck possession is a Leafs game. A guy that's going to come and win some face-offs, keep puck out of the defensive zone, get in the offensive zone, let the big boys go to eat. So I'm pumped. I thought it was the right trade. I think Achari's a guy they really need to. He had some depth at third or fourth line, but it's a good deal for Leafs. And the one I was super pumped when I woke up Saturday morning to about 300 text messages just talking about the trade. So I'm pumped with the deal, buddy.
Yeah, so it should be good. Well, it's going to be interesting. The other thing, though, is will Tampa make a move? And what will Tampa get? We'll see. I think Tampa's going to make some move. The other thing, though, 100%.
Is they always do.
We're still looking at one major factor, and it starts between the pipes, buddy. Who's going to be the guy in Toronto? Is Murray going to come back? And is he going to be your playoff guy? Is Samsonov going to be able to do it? And Vasilevsky the other way. So I still feel like Toronto's got to be able to, and maybe that's part of the reason Toronto's sitting there going, hey, maybe we just got to outscore them, right? That's the whole point of the game.
That's the thought.
To outscore them. So maybe that's Dubas saying, hey, listen, we got a guy who might be able to put the puck in the net, help us with our offense. We're questioned on goalie, but what options do we have right now? Maybe instead of trying to win that game in game 7, 2-1, we try to win it 4-3, right? Or 3-2
Yeah,
kind of thing, right? So
that's the thought for
I
sure.
don't know.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a fun series, really. I mean, I think it's going to be a highlight because I think this is Toronto going to put all their into it, and I don't think Toronto's done. I think they're going to probably try and get another depth defenseman. I mean, that Dustin Holl. I don't know. He's the Eric Carlson of Toronto, isn't he? All my Leaf buddies, they
I,
always chirp me. I got a
I
shout
hate
out to
Hall.
Mitch Concrete. He just hates the guy. He plays in the hockey team there. Another guy that just loves his whiskey. But anyways, he just hates him. He was just ripping. Oh, just give him away, you know. And the guy plays like 20 minutes a game, doesn't he? Justin
He
Hull,
plays
Flem?
tons, but like it just yeah, he plays tons. He plays a lot of penalty kill minutes, but he's just one of those guys where when he's good, he's okay and serviceable. When he's bad, he's fucking god awful. Like he just looks like a 6'5" pylon out there. Like he's not physical at all. He has no interest in hitting anyone. And I've said this so many times. Like I think a guy like Hall, if he would just someone would just like say, hey, have a little mean streak in you for like a month, you'd probably be like a 10-year NHLer. Like people would be so scared of you. You're 6'5", 230 pounds. You can skate, you can move the puck, but he doesn't bring that intensity, and he doesn't have the smarts to stay back kind of thing. It's like he thinks he's Bobby Orr back there. Some games he's behind the other team's goal line more than he's behind his goal line. So just a weird guy. I'm definitely not a fan, and it's not a guy I'm looking to trot out there in playoffs. That's for sure. But as for the goalies, I would say this, Brokey. I would say there's almost 100% certainty in my mind in that the first round series with Tampa, you're going to see Murray and you're going to see Samsonov at some point. I think that's a
I would
guarantee.
agree on that too.
Yeah. Like,
100%.
if
This
we
is
have
the
one
one
bad
series
game,
thing.
someone else coming in.
100%. I mean, like, if you can you bet on that? I don't know. I have the Score app, and I don't find it the best app. That's what I use for betting. There's sometimes like other people tell me they got all these bets. I'd love to bet on that because I would throw a lot of money on both goalies playing. Obviously, if they're healthy, right? You wouldn't want to do it until before playoffs because you never know with Murray. Guy's been hurt 17,000 times in 4 years. But
Yeah.
so anyways, the other night,
Check out Bet365. That's a site for like multiple bets for sure.
yeah, my buddy Amo, well, Amo, he uses that site. So anyways, last week there the Leafs played Chicago, and Chicago, I believe it was 5-2 was the final, and then Friday night, I think it was Friday night, Chicago played Ottawa, and so Fleming over there was chirping me, oh, Chicago's the worst team in the NHL, they just suck. You should have saw them the other night against Toronto. Holy, worst team I've ever seen. That was the worst hockey game ever. Am I right, Fleming? Quote unquote.
It was the worst fucking hockey game.
And anyways, Ottawa ended up playing horrible on Friday. They ended up losing in overtime. They should never have lost that game. But it was just out-coached, outworked. Just wasn't a good game. And they happened. At least they got a point. The worst comes to worst. But anyways, Fleming's take, kind of first period maybe, right? I wouldn't take a player on Chicago right now. They've mailed it in. I don't care if it's Patty Kane, Domi. I wouldn't take nobody on their team. And you know what Patty Kane said? Fuck you, Flem. And now he went and scored. He went and scored 2 goals against Ottawa, and then he scored 3 goals against Toronto last night, which would be Sunday. And they beat Toronto 5-3, by the way. I took Leafs in the over, so I'll never bet on Toronto again. And I never bet on Toronto. I just wanted to bet because Ottawa didn't play Sunday night. Anyways, so since Fleming says I wouldn't take anybody on Chicago, even Patty Kane on my team, because they mailed it in for the year, I disagree with him. I said, these guys can turn it up. They're just in it's a whirlwind of a situation there. 5 goals in less than like 2 games. What do you think, Flem? Bad take or what? Almost as bad as my Bruins missing the playoffs.
Patty Kane, you're fucking about a week too late, dog. I mean, fucking the Rangers trade for Tarasenko last week. The Leafs played Chicago on Wednesday. I'm gonna assume the Leafs are probably pretty in on Pat Kane. They see the performance Chicago comes out with. I mean, seriously, bro, if you didn't watch the game, it borderline looked like a shinny game. Like no contact. Peter Mrazek must be the worst goaltender to ever tie on skates and play in the NHL. The guy is absolutely pathetic. Great signing, Kyle Dubas, by the way. 3 years, $3.9 million per. Has to get rid of him last year. But look, the game happened Wednesday. The Leafs are in on Patty Kane on Wednesday. Come Friday, Ryan O'Reilly's here for 4 picks. I mean, if that doesn't say to me, that's what it says. The Leafs saw him say, hey, we don't need these guys. They're not what we need.
I don't think so. I don't think he wanted Patty Kane the entire time. Plus, Patty Kane, you got to understand, a lot of this is up to Patty Kane. Patty Kane is the one telling Chicago where he wants to go. This isn't, hey, there's a trade here, there's a trade there. They've announced that clear as day that Patty Kane has a couple of teams where he wants to go, and he's not releasing it, and he's not going to approve a trade. So I don't know if I 100% believe in that, Fleming. I think Toronto had their guy from start to finish, and I think that there was no pressure to make the trade today. The deadline's still like 10 days away, isn't it? Something like that. So I think that Toronto just had an opportunity and took it. I don't think that had anything to do with Patty Kane's game. I mean, it is one game. If you're Kyle Dubas and you're looking at one game, I think that's bullshit. You're talking about a last place team. I mean, why wouldn't you if you had the opportunity?
He's looking for the whole year. It's not just the one game. He's looking for the whole year.
What about the 3 cups Patty Kane has? Huh? What about the fucking statue he's going to have in Chicago?
When was the last cup?
What fucking statue is Dubas going to have? None.
When was the last cup?
Who gives a fuck? He's got 3 Stanley Cups. How many you got? How many the Leafs got? At least don't you have a fucking playoff round?
Look, if he's not into it, they're not.
He scored 5 goals in 2 games. He's fucking into it. He's going to go on a team. If he goes somewhere like Tampa Bay, look the fuck out.
Oh yeah, for sure. He'd be a great third liner in Tampa for sure.
Third liner. Fuck, put him and Cooch together and fucking it'd be 9-2 Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Obviously, joking, Leaf fans, relax, but I don't know if Cooch is nasty too. Imagine Patty Kane and Cooch. I know you Leaf fans are like, oh, it's gonna be Patty Kane, Marner, and Matthews. That would be a nasty line too, no question. But anyways, I just thought I'd chirp you because Patty Kane was literally like right after he scored, and then he scored again. He scored 3 against Toronto, so I thought that was fucking hilarious. I want to talk a bit. I'm going to get to my Sens in a minute, but I want to talk about the East. So I don't know if you've really paid attention to the 8th seed in the East, but it's fucking nasty right now. I think Pittsburgh's still going to get 7th. There's a chance they could still drop, but they're still a bit farther ahead than all these other teams. But from 8th, the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, literally all the way down to Ottawa, it's like 3 points from all these teams. And I know like Ottawa's 5 points back of like, or 5 or 6 points back with the 8th seed, but they've got like 4 games in hand. So I'm like figuring, I'm putting all the percentages together and everything. What? Literally, the team that is like arguably in the playoffs is a team that's in like 10th or 11th right now. It's just Buffalo, who has the best winning percentage. I know it doesn't go by winning percentage, but when a team has 3 games in hand and they're fucking 3 points back, you think they're not going to win any games. So I'm kind of calculating
Buffalo
it that way.
has 5 games in hand. 5 games in hand over the Islanders. And 3 points
does
back.
Ottawa, I think. Yeah.
Ottawa has 4 games in hand.
Oh, are you looking at the stats right now? Oh, but Ottawa won the other night.
So Ottawa has 4 games in hand, but they're 5 points back. So technically, I mean, I'm going to assume they win close. 2 of those 4. Like they're 1 point back, right? Like
that's what I'm saying. So So what I'm saying is that it's fucking tight. You get 6 teams that are fighting for that spot, and Pittsburgh's the same points as the Islanders, but they only have they got 4 games in hand, the Islanders. So I'm only really counting the 8th seed, which you could count the 7th too. But it's going to be a battle for the 7th and 8th, especially the 8th. Anybody can get in. 2 teams that I think that I really don't think are going to get in. Washington's really struggled lately. The whole Ovi situation with his dad, it's unfortunate. I just think too, this year has been such a focus on his record, and I think when he comes back, if he comes, like I don't know, is there a plan for Ovi right now? Is he back? I haven't heard. I just don't know if Washington's going to have what it takes. The other thing is, I don't know if you heard this. Barzell is done indefinitely. I think upper body injury, I believe. I just read that before the podcast, so I didn't want to tell you. I didn't want to give my scouting report. I don't know how long he's out for, but if he's out for any long period of time, Islanders are fucked. So I'm literally saying Islanders and Washington are out. I don't know if Florida has what it takes either. Sorry, local Belleville guy, Nick Cousins. It's going to be tight, but they're going to be in the battle there. But then it leaves you to fucking Buffalo, Detroit, and Ottawa, which are like 3 teams nobody thought would make the playoffs this year. So, I mean, literally, it's fucking wide open in those 6 teams, right? And it's going to be who gets hot. Ottawa's got a couple tough games up, but Ottawa plays Detroit next Monday and Tuesday, back-to-back, both in Ottawa, I think. So, like, that'll be quick. Like, if one of those teams win both games, that's a 4-point swing, whether it's Ottawa or Detroit, or let's say both games go to overtime kind of thing. All of a sudden, you're giving a lot of points out, right? So, all I'm saying is it's going to be interesting. Ottawa has climbed back into the picture. Even with that loss to Chicago, they've gotten, I think it's 13 of the last 16 points. Pretty fucking good, right? Yeah. It should be 14, and that's not even playing that well. They've kind of got lucky since the All-Star break. Other than the last game, they just they dusted their last game. But Bruins today, I don't have any high expectations. But all I'm saying is it's a fucking chance. There's a chance, and there's a chance, and the fucking East is wide open for the fucking 8th seed and possibly 7th. Who knows about Pittsburgh? They've been slipping a little bit too.
Oh man, it's so wide open right now. And I think the big thing with Washington, Brokey, is John Carlson. The Washington hasn't had John Carlson in like 2 months at this point. He's probably just as important to that team as Alex Ovechkin. Like Ovi leads them up front, Carlson's the workhorse on the back, and they just haven't had him. It's been such a big loss for them. It's been a noticeable difference in their swing since then. They're 3-7 in their last 10 games. They've lost 4 in a row. Like they're on the downswing pretty hard at this point. And yeah, like I look at teams like Buffalo, Detroit, and Ottawa, and you're right. Like these guys all got at least 4 games in hand. Some teams 5 games in hand. They're only 3 to 4 or 5 points back. I mean,
and you got to think like even if you don't win all 5, you're going to win 2 or 3. You'd think, right?
For sure. Like man, just if Detroit wins, if Detroit goes 2-2 of their 4 games, they're ahead of them. They're ahead of them, Brokey.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? That's what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
for sure.
So anything can happen, right? That's what I'm saying. It's fucking wide open in the East. It's crazy, and I love it. That's what you want. Like I know the top teams there. Boston's pretty much ran away with it, and then you got Toronto and Tampa Bay, which are fighting for home ice. But it sucks because that's all you're fighting for. But at least there's a battle somewhere, right? I think Toronto and Tampa Bay is going to go right to the end too for home ice. It looks like Tampa Bay's 3 points back, 2 games in hand, right? So like that's pretty fucking close. I don't know how many times they play each other left, but but yeah, it's going to be fun in the East. I think the East is the new West. I remember for like a decade it seemed like West always had the better teams. It's clear as day. East has better teams overall without question, right?
Oh yeah, outside of Colorado, who's all beat up at this point. But I mean, yeah, I think if you're going to name the top 5 favorites to win the Stanley Cup, 4 of them are from the East for sure, and then you throw Colorado in there, right? But that's how I would take it. You know what? I just want to say I'm glad that it's so wide open though, because remember last year it was sealed up at this point. Like there was Columbus was I think the 9th place team. They were like 14 points behind the 8th seed. So I mean, the NHL needs this. They need some competition coming down to the end. Keeps multiple fan bases engaged, and it's good for the entertainment value of the league. So I'm glad this is happening. I'm looking forward to some races coming down to the end. Brokey, what do you think about like wild card play-ins, kind of like how the NBA and the MLB does it? Would you endorse that in the NHL?
We did it one year for the COVID, right? You know what?
But it's different in the other ones, yeah. But yeah,
it was that's what they did, right? Toronto lost to Columbus in the wild card thing, was it not?
But they did that but they did like 4. No, they did like 4 different, like all the series were play-ins. How the MLB would do it, it would be like the last 2 teams. So we'll say like teams maybe 9 and 10.
Oh, MLB. I thought you said NBA. I know how the MLB works. My bad. I wasn't listening proper. I know what you're saying there. So like the 8th or 7th seed would play. 9th and 10 kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Something like, but how long is the series? All of a sudden now you're beating them up and then they got to play those guys. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how I feel about that. Right now, nobody's really talking about that. They're all talking about should they change it 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, blah, blah, blah. It was funny, though, because it's a lot of Toronto fans complaining about that. I haven't checked. I should check it here. But the last time I checked it, it was it doesn't do conference on here. It was going to be 4 and 5 were Toronto and Tampa Bay anyways, which I kind of found funny. But what would you like to see? What would you like it the way it is now, or are you with all the Leaf fans and hate it because you lost?
I am not with the Leafs fan. I'm not with the fans on this at all. And I get that it is unfair for some teams. It's been unfair for the Leafs and Tampa Bay the past couple of years. But look, life isn't fair. And what I want to see in the first round is I want an entertaining series. I do not want to see Toronto playing New Jersey, Carolina, or some team like that. I want the Leafs to play Montreal, Tampa Bay, Boston, Ottawa. Yeah, I want them to have to get out of the I want an interconference matchup. Like I want to play someone in the Atlantic Division. I want those rivalries to grow. My one big bone with how it's set up is how you only play the teams 3 times. Play the teams 3 times your conference. Like the Leafs and Ottawa should
4 times, I think.
3 or 4. 3 or 4.
Yeah. Okay.
The Leafs should play like Ottawa and Montreal 6 times a year. They should play Boston 6 times a year. I don't care if they play San Jose twice. Like it doesn't matter to me at all. I want to see these rivalries flourish, and the way they have the playoff system set up right now is for the rivalries to kind of come out. But it's not going to happen if they don't play each other in the regular season and kind of get that hate on for each other in the regular season. So I'd like to see that. If we're going to make a change, the one change I would see, I would really endorse this is if you're the number one seed, you pick who you want to play. No questions asked. If you're the number, I like that. I think that'd
That's
be entertaining
garbage.
as fuck. Do you know how much? Well, why is it garbage?
I just
Why?
think it's fucking. Well,
If
I
you
can't
want to
think of the right
reward a
word.
team,
It's
if you want
childish.
to
It's
reward a
fucking.
team, do
Hey,
that.
it's school ground. Like, let's pick this guy. And I don't know. I don't know. I get what you're saying. Sorry, I'm chirping what you're saying. And everybody has a title
No,
of their own opinion. I do have a theory on. Are you done? Are you done with your topic? Or I.
yeah, go
So
ahead.
I
Yeah.
have a. So the theory on their theory on why they don't play. Like, I get what you're saying with, creating the battles and stuff 6 times. Is 2 more times a year going to change that much? I don't know. It's hard to say. It might change a little bit, but their theory on it, and I like this theory, is let's say you've got your Edmonton, or you're going to play. They want to make sure each team is going to see each star. So, you got your Connor McDavid up in Edmonton. Well, do they see him in Florida? Well, they want to make sure, or Arizona, wherever. And I think if they make it the 6 games, then you're probably only going to see each team like from the West or like farthest division every other year kind of thing. So I think they look at it as like we need to build the brand and make sure each Ottawa, for instance, gets to see. I know there's nobody there, but in Arizona once a year, and Anaheim, and I think that's their theory on it. And that's how they're trying to build it. Do I agree with it? I agree with both. I mean, it's hard to say which one I would go with because I think that, like, ticket sales, for instance, for Ottawa and the games, they're going to get up more for fucking seeing, the Leafs again, or, Montreal again, right? So I
For
get that,
sure.
but then I also get seeing that player. But typically, it's just to see the star players. It's not about the team because
Yeah. But
realistically,
how
there's
many
no
star
battle
players are there?
between.
How many players are worth the price admission? Like, are there 10? Like, do you care if you see Anaheim, San Jose,
Oh,
Phoenix, those
okay. So
teams?
okay. So here's one for you. Bedard goes to Arizona next year, where he's
Yeah.
probably going to fucking go anyways, or Anaheim. Okay, so you get to see Bedard you get to see Bedard twice in 4 years in Ottawa or Toronto. Is that fair?
Uh,
That's their
well,
theory on it.
I don't care about it. I really,
Okay,
what's
okay.
one time doesn't make a difference to me. It doesn't make a difference. Like,
Well,
so what?
I'm just saying that's their theory. They're trying to get so now Bedard is in Anaheim, or let's say Arizona. They want him to be in Ottawa and Toronto once every year, so that crowd gets to see it. That's their
I get
thoughts on it.
why.
I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying that's what the NHL is looking for. They want to build their
Look,
brand. They
you're
want to
going
build
pretty
their
far to defend them.
players,
You're going pretty far to
right?
defend them,
So
not to agree with them. But
no, I'm just saying that's how they're doing it. So I don't know whether, like, yeah, it's catch-22 whether one way's better and one way's not. When they played each other in that COVID shit, it was like 9, 10 teams times. That was way too much for me. That was fucking
for
way
sure, it
too
was too
much.
much. Yeah.
I get the whole thing. At least we got hockey and it was awesome. I think that was the year Ottawa was down 5-1 to Toronto and came back 1-6-5 in overtime. And I was running fucking half naked on my street with no shoes on in the middle of winter. Anyways, okay, yeah. So as far as I think my vote would be 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, 3 versus 6, all the way through. I think I would just because I feel like if you're a good team, you want to get through anyways. And I feel like if you're already going to play each other, let's say we do Fleming's thing where you play each other 5 or 6 times through the year. Do we want to do it in the playoffs? I don't know. I feel like first round matches are awesome anyways. So I feel like it'd be cool to see Tampa Bay and Toronto in the second round.
Why
Or
they're awesome because teams are playing each other that they have a rivalry with, right? Like they're awesome. Like, man, the what was hockey the best when the Leafs just happened to meet the Senators every year in the first or second round? Like, I think the league needs to be promoting that. They need to be promoting the teams that people want to
oh,
see
it fucking
play. Like,
sucked.
man, I don't care if the Leafs play New Jersey in the first or second round. Like, it doesn't do anything for me. You know what I mean? I'd rather them play Tampa Bay and lose. Like, I don't want them to lose, but it is what it is. I think I'd want to see them get out of the teams they have a rivalry with. That's my opinion on it. Kind of like old school OHL, right?
Well, yeah, and that's how it's done in most of the leagues. If you think of it, like, when you play minor hockey, well, to make it to all Ontario championships, you got to beat everybody around you, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the way the NHL has it, and I understand it. And again, I'm not one way or one strong way the other way. It's hard to predict because if we go back to the 1 versus 8, then it's like, okay, is this going to be, are these guys going to play and say, oh, these matchups are boring, right? I don't know. I think it's one of those things where the grass is greener. Grass is always greener on the other side. So, anyways, just want to let everybody know Tim Stutzel has 59 points in 51 games. He's literally almost on pace with Marner and Matthews. It's damn close. And the kid's a fucking star. He's only 21 years old. Woo! Fleming's got his fucking Stutzel jersey coming in the mail.
That's it. That's all you got for him is just a little woo. Like that's
I can give you a
just
fucking
a run.
woo.
Like
I'll
sure,
take
he's
that
a good
belt
little.
behind your head and smash you over the head with it.
He's a good
Now,
little
one,
player.
two,
Bro. He's
three.
a good little player. He's a
I'm
good
getting a
little
little player.
worker.
You
That's
told
what
me
he
he's a fucking third liner. Ottawa doesn't even have a first line. How about Brady Chuck, those 60 points on the year in 55 games as a power forward, guys, best power forward in the game without question. That kid ever gets in the playoffs, look out. Look out. When he gets,
Yeah.
not
So
if he ever gets in the playoffs. When he gets in the playoffs. I'm not
so when
guaranteeing
they
it
when
this
they
year,
drafted
but
him,
I'm guaranteeing it next year.
when they drafted him, I think there was someone like that people wanted like ahead of him, weren't there? Kind of thing. I don't think Brady was
Emmy
like
went the pick behind or pick ahead of him.
pick ahead of him.
Oh,
I know that. Yeah, but I think yeah.
or no. Yeah, Emmy went
Talking to me went
third.
three.
I can't remember who went fifth that year.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
There was a guy, was it Carolina? That yeah, and I felt kind of the same way. I was
Maybe
like, fuck,
Hannafton.
this guy doesn't get many points, blah blah blah. And now you look at it, and you're like, this guy's a stud. Like he's
Mhm.
exactly what you want in a captain. He's a young guy. They got to do a good contract. If he can put up 90, if he can put up anywhere from 80 to 100 points a year and do what he does and fight and be the leader and be in the corners and give guys space, which a lot of non-hockey players don't understand. The amount of space when he's playing with Tim Stutzel, he's giving Tim Stutzel is fucking awesome. You get what I'm saying, Flem?
Would let's say we redraft the 2018 draft. Who do you take number one, Rasmus Dahlin or Brady Tkachuk? And I'm so Philip Zadinov. He went to Detroit 6 overall. He was, I think, supposed to go second or third in that draft, ahead of Tkachuk. So I mean, that's
He's
looking
another
like a
guy,
good
yeah.
pick for old Pierre there. Like he was rated high.
Oh, it was a
Quinn
great
Hughes
pick.
went seventh.
Pierre
It was a
doesn't
great
Pierre
pick.
doesn't miss much. He missed Tim Stutzel. I think it was the second rounder. He took Jaffarty. He should have taken
Yeah, but second rounders are like
oh fuck, I knew it. How do I know it? The guy's playing the NHL for Buffalo on the second line, and Jaffarty's never going to play in the NHL. So I didn't understand that pick. Anyways, I don't want to get into it because our listeners probably don't give a shit. But he took this Jaffarty guy instead of, I forget the guy's name. He plays for Buffalo. He played on Germany with Stutzel. And you're like, why wouldn't you take
must
him?
be
He's
great then.
Stutzel's fucking what?
He must be great then, eh?
He plays in the NHL in Buffalo, and Buffalo might make the playoffs. And he's only 21. I'd say he's
You don't even
fucking
know
doing
his
pretty
name.
good.
You don't even know his name.
Fuck, I know his name. You know how bad I am with names. And
Give
fuck.
Pierre a little pat on the back. Give Pierre a little pat on the back. Fuck. He's doing a good job in Ottawa. You guys are too hard on him. Sure, he hired a shitty coach, but I mean, he drafted Brady for. Give the guy some slack, Brokey. He's got three
Pierre's
first
done a
rounds
lot
in
of
the
really
NHL
good
from the
things.
2019.
Pierre's done a lot of really good things without question, but he's also done a lot of mistakes, and he hasn't done anything since July 1st. And there's been a lot of things to be done. I think Ottawa's underachieving. I think Ottawa should be in the playoffs right now without question. I honestly think the way this year's gone, they won a 7-game. There was a time where they could have gotten 14 points and they got zero. 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 What's the guy's name? Sam Mitchell, coach of the Raptors. Zero. 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 Remember him? Sam Mitchell?
Yeah.
You probably don't know what I'm talking about.
No, I know he is. Yeah, old coach. Yeah, I think I don't know. I think Pierre's done pretty good on the player front. Maybe a coaching change early in the year makes up those 3 or 4 points you guys are missing to get over the hump. But I mean, look, I think you guys are being pretty hard on Pierre. If you're going to sell the team and looking to bring in a new GM, I wouldn't be so fast to pull it off. I think Pierre's done a good job. Look, he hit on Stutzel, he hit on Riley Gregg, he hit on Sanderson.
Stutzel was fucking handed to him. There's no way he hit on Stutzel. That was a hand.
He could have picked someone else.
No, he couldn't have. There's no fucking any way he picked somebody else. There's nobody in the right mind. All the other GMs were not taking anybody. There's no way. I think where the screw up is, and this is 100% on Rob Blake. They took Byfield, and I knew it. I said it. There's no way, and I knew they'd take him because he's Canadian and he's the bigger body and blah blah blah. This guy's German. Look at the difference. Anyways, the guy's name is Peterka. He played with Tim Stutzel, Germany. Do you remember them? And there was a small centerman that played on their line too. But anyways, they could have. Peterka went next pick to Buffalo. Peterka's now played like 100 NHL games, maybe not that many, but he's played a lot. And Derventi might never play one.
Do the Senators have the best pick of the 28th? the Senators have the best pick of the 2018 and 2020 draft in Stützle and Brady.
Well, definitely in the 2020 for sure, without question. Right now, I think
Overlapping,
that's a
yeah, for
no-brainer.
sure.
I think Stutzel's the best pick in that draft. There's no way you can take somebody else right now, with the way he's playing and the ceiling he has too. I think that's the biggest thing is like we're only fucking scratching the surface here. He's 21. I would say yeah with Brady too. I mean, you could argue Darlene for sure all day,
Oh, I
and it
take
depends
Brady
on
all
what
day, all day.
I know. But there's players that might teams that might not. But
Mhm.
I personally would take Brady myself. So yeah. Where he hit though too was with the Sanderson because who's the guy the right-handed shot defenseman, Canadian, and he went to Anaheim. He went
Jamie Drysdale.
he
Jamie Drysdale.
Drysdale. He went fifth or sixth, and that's who
He
I
went
thought they were
sixth.
going to
Sanderson
take.
was fifth.
Yeah. So Sanderson was fourth, wasn't he? Fourth.
No, Sanderson was fifth.
Oh, was he fifth? Oh, okay. Anyways,
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
Lafreniere, Byfield, Stutzel, and Raymond Lucas, or Lucas Raymond.
Oh yeah, they didn't pick 3 and 4. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah, you're right. Lucas to Detroit, but yeah. So I think the Sanderson one. I think that guy's going to be good. He's injured right now, but I think that guy is going to surpass Shabbat next year for the first center or first center. Number one D man on Ottawa next year, without question, is going to be Sanderson. Without question, I think he's going to be a Darlene in the league. I think he's going to be awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I don't have anything else. You got anything else you want to talk about Ottawa Brookey? I mean, I know they got Boston Day, tough matchup coming off back to backs, but I mean, look, they've been playing well. They scored 7 goals the other day against St. Louis. I know St. Louis is kind of depleted right now. You know, you've traded Tarasenko, O'Reilly, and Achari in the past couple of days, so you know a team that may be down a little bit, but still a big win and 2 points they really needed. So I mean, look, if Ottawa can steal a point today, that'd be a big thing for them, in my opinion.
Yeah, Ottawa plays Boston and Carolina the next 2 games. They need to get 2 points somehow. I don't care if they're 2 overtime losses. They need to get 2 points out of those 2 games because they're massive games. So we'll
Yeah.
see. They get their bets are like 4-1 today against Ottawa. So I threw $20 on, or no, I think I threw $40 on there. Just fuck it. See if I hit. I don't
Just
expect to
splash it
get the 40
around, eh?
bucks, but for 4-1 odds, man, you never know in the NHL. I got one I want to ask you here. So your thoughts, and I want to hear your liberal opinion on this. Your thoughts on Tiger Woods handing another player a tampon after he outdrove him in PGA?
I think it's pretty funny. Like I don't know, I haven't paid much attention, but I understand people were mad and he had to apologize for it. But I don't see a problem with it all. I mean, look, sports are supposed to be entertaining. It's supposed to be fun. Both guys laughed about it. No one had a problem. So at the end of the day, who cares? Like, you know, the people that got all up in arms about it probably didn't watch a single second of the golf event. They probably saw it on Twitter, they saw it on TikTok, and they got all up in arms. They said, let's cancel Tiger Woods. Look, Tiger Woods is a piece of shit. This ain't no fucking newsflash for people. You know, it's not like he's the greatest person in the world. So, I mean, they've still got him on TV. You're not going to cancel him. He handed the guy a tampon. It is what it is. Have a little laugh, pat yourself on the back, and move on, liberals. There you go.
The thing I laugh about is we'll call them liberals so few people don't get offended, but is they get offended about, oh my God, he handed a tampon, and they think the whole thing is on the tampon, calling a girl a pussy or whatever because she gets her period. Oh, periods are the worst pain in the world. And I agree. Well, I don't know for sure, but from what I've had with all my wife and all my wives,
All
my
my
wife and all
lives.
my girlfriends, periods suck. We get it. The chirp has nothing to do with being a period, getting your period. Zero to do with it. Okay. The chirp is just calling him a girl. It's a way to say you're a girl. You didn't drive me. And the point of that is we're not chirping girls. This is a known fact. Men hit farther than girls off the tee. So in saying that, I hit farther than you,
Hence
so
why
you're a girl.
there's
It's a
lady
chirp.
tees.
That's all it is. What?
Yeah.
That's all it
Hence
is.
why there's
And
lady tees.
that's why there's lady tees. Thank you so much. I'm not chirping girls. There's a lot of awesome golfers out there that are girls. The girls don't hit as farther as the men on the PGA Tour and the LPGA Tour. They don't. It's just facts. So that's all it is. And I'm going to be honest. I play with golf. I don't play a lot, but when I play, I don't know how many times over the years we have said, maybe we don't hand somebody a tampon. We said, oh man, you need to hit from the ladies' tees or, drop your purse or it's a joke. We're not
Yeah.
chirping women. There's things that women are better than us at. they'd probably chirp us, It's just the way it is. It's not like, it's just fun. And I think when you take fun out of things, it's just, you're ruining it. So I'm just like, guys, get over it. It's not that big of a deal. It's not a racial slur. It's not singled out to somebody. It's fun with guys. And I'm sure and I know this, girls have fun and they chirp their own ways. They might not admit to it, but
Oh,
you
yeah.
tell me they don't have their own chirps between them and guys and all.
100% agree.
Right?
100% agree. Yeah. Mhm.
So Patty Kane to the Ottawa Senators or what?
No, but I do think Max Domi may be a Leaf within the next 10 days,
I
Broekey.
like Max Domi. I loved him. Remember when he played in World Juniors?
The
I
Leafs
think we
could
talked about this.
The Leafs could have picked him up so many times. They just haven't. Like, he must have bad analytics, and Dubas must not be into it. But I mean, I like him too. I'd be all over if I were the Leafs. Another top six forward. I'd be looking at him or Josh Anderson kind of thing. Those would be my two guys.
Yeah, Josh Anderson's another depth guy. I liked him in the playoffs. They two different types of players, but I love Max Domi's energy. I feel like he brings a lot of energy. He brought speed and everything. So, is that what Toronto's looking for? The problem is, like, if they pick up more of these slower type guys, is that going to slow them down a bit, or do they keep going with another? Now that they got O'Reilly, I feel like, because since you got O'Reilly, don't go after the Anderson, go after the Domi. Let him play with more of your speed. You can mix him in the top six, if guys are hurt and whatever else, right? And have more speed up there. Play along with the speed you already have, right? Instead of trying to get slower guys who can't play with them. Because Toronto's done that. They've brought guys in over the years, and they don't fucking work out because they can't keep up with Marner and Matthews and Nylander. They don't have the speed, so they slow them down, right?
I will say one thing. Anderson is a good skater, though. Like, I know he's big and stuff, but Josh
he gets
Anderson
going.
is a great skater, yeah. But I mean, yeah, I would lean Domi just because he's on an expiring deal too. But look, I think the Leafs are going to have to just go almost all offense. Like, I know they need a defenseman. I just don't know who that defenseman is at this point. Like, there are no big name defensemen out there that are coming in on a budget kind of deal that are going to help the Leafs. Best case scenario for Toronto is if Jake Muzzin can somehow find a way back to be healthy, and they bring him back to the playoffs, and they kind of pull the Tampa Bay, bring him back in when they're over the cap. And I don't see who they're going to bring in that's going to be that guy they need to play defense for them. So I think you might as well just add to the offense, bring a Max Domi in, roll 7, 8, 9 forwards deep, and just try to take a run at Tampa any way you can. And I don't think playing shutdown defense is in the cards for Toronto this year. They got too many young guys back there. They don't have a great goaltending tandem to start. I would just go all in on the offense and spread it out as much as you can.
Wheel deal, kiss steal, son of a gun. Woo! Put the puck in the net, right? Fun. So, what would happen though? How pissed would you be if Ottawa snuck into 8th and took down Boston and Tampa Bay beat Toronto out? Could you fucking imagine Ottawa winning the playoffs?
I don't think I'd be that mad. I don't think I'd be that mad about it, to be honest.
Oh,
I don't think I'd be that mad.
You wouldn't come on the podcast ever again, probably.
Oh no, I'm
in dreamland. I know, but anything's possible.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Boston's beatable for almost anyone that sneaks in there. Boston's a team that can kind of go quiet offensively, I think, and we've seen that in playoffs before. Pasternak.
I don't know though. They're also a team that is a favorite to win the Stanley Cup. I love their top line. I love their top players. They got Tyler Hall on second line. You're right. It's for me. It's
Taylor Hall and Pasternak are kind of the kickers since the new breed Boston. But I mean, I'd take look, I think come playoff time, it's almost 50-50 for anyone. Playoffs is a different kind of animal. They don't call the refs don't call the game the same way. You don't know what you're going to get. And I think a hot goalie, and we've seen this for a hot player or a hot goalie, can win you a series. So, look, if I'm Ottawa and you say I get into 8th and I play Boston, sign me up.
Okay, I just noticed it's 109. Sens play at 1. So, are you in?
The Boo Club.
Pay It Forward Sports presents Kings of 4-on-4 Ontario Championships, April 14th through 16th, Ottawa and Quinte West. Winners meet in the best 2 out of 3 series to determine the Kings of 4-on-4 and win a trip to Las Vegas. Prizes include a trip to the Dominican, a second trip to Las Vegas, team NHL tickets, and more amazing prizes. Help support underprivileged kids and become the king of 4-on-4 provincial champions. For additional prizes and contest rules and pricing information, visit www.payitforwardsports.ca.